Hi, it's Dr. Circus, and I want to welcome you to this module, which is all about the importance of listening skills. So I'm just going to go over a few of the points that I want to highlight for you, and then you can go ahead and take care of the assignments and the reading that's in this unit. Let's get started. We're going to talk about what good listeners do. You've probably had some experiences where you felt that somebody wasn't listening to you. I think we've all probably had that. I could focus on what bad listeners do, but I figured, okay, I'm going to stay positive and I'll talk about the good listeners. Think to yourself for a minute. Are there people you know who are good listeners? Isn't it amazing how they can distinguish themselves? I still remember my son's band instructor from back 15 years ago. And what I remember about him, because I was a band parent, I was actually president of the Band Parents Association. And I remember speaking to him. And when you spoke to this man, you felt like you were the only person in the world. He made good eye contact, but not so much that it was creepy, but he would look at you and he would turn his whole attention to you. And when you spoke, he would look at you and he would sort of nod his head as though he was taking it in. He'd ask questions. It was wonderful. And I remember thinking, wow, this man really, really likes me. I felt very good, positive regard. And I was talking to one of my friends who was also in the Band Parents Association about it. And she said he does the same exact thing with her. She said, he makes me feel like I am so special every time that I speak to him about my son and how my son is doing in the band. I've never felt like I've had this person, this much attention from one person. And this is just through the interaction of speaking to somebody and having them listen to you. So let's talk a little bit about this. When we think about listening in business, when we think about customer service, probably empathy is one of the first things that you should consider. Put yourself into the shoes of the person who's speaking to you. Imagine if you are going through what they're going through. Think about how they would react to what you might say. Think about how they might react to how you're reacting to them as they speak. So be sure to demonstrate good empathy. If somebody is calling you to complain or somebody is getting in touch with you over a customer service issue, very often they're upset. Okay, not everybody is, but you know what? When people reach out to customer service, lots of times it's because they're having an issue. They're confused about something. There's been an issue with a product or service, and they might not be happy. So don't feel offended. Don't be upset. People very often are in a bad mood, as we saw in the Benny Birdie case, where Ms. Red wrote an email while she was still quite angry. Maybe if she had written that email a few days later, she wouldn't have been so upset. But in the moment, people sometimes can be a bit emotional. But no matter what, even if it's just day-to-day interaction with a coworker who is your internal customer, you want to show that you can put yourself into their shoes and understand what they are telling you. Have patience when speaking with someone. Some people, by the way, don't speak as fast as other people. There are people who actually have some kinds of disabilities. Some people are just not very good at communicating or getting to the point of what they want to say. And you should give people patience. If you don't have time to speak to someone, if they've caught you at a bad time, suggest a better time. But if you're just going to rush somebody right to the answer, that's probably not really helpful. I know of many times when I've reached out to somebody by phone for customer service help, and they might even transfer me to a whole other department, and it's the wrong department because they didn't spend the time to hear what I was trying to say. They were impatient and they just wanted to get rid of my call as quickly as possible. So as soon as I mentioned One word like billing, I went off to the billing department. Maybe I didn't need to go to the billing department. Maybe billing was just one part of what I had to say. So be patient with people. Like I said, some people have trouble gathering their thoughts. Some people speak slowly. I remember that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the late Justice of the Supreme Court, I remember hearing her while she was being um, you know, interviewed for the position, and I remember how she spoke and how she spoke so slowly, and she thought about her words before she opened her mouth. And many people, many wise people are like that. So don't expect people to be snappy. That's a sign of impatience on your part. Be an active listener. An active listener is not thinking about how they're going to respond or trying to say what they want to say. They're not interrupting. They're truly taking in what the person is telling them. They want to hear, listen, and truly understand. So they ask questions. They repeat back what they've heard in their own words. A common phrase that people use is, "What I hear you saying is," and then you say what you believe you heard, and then you can say, "Is that right?" And that's really helpful. I know that very often when I've called customer service people, they don't always understand what I'm telling them my issue is, what the problem is. And so they rush to fix a problem that I don't really have. And I've had times when I've said to them, "This is my issue. Can you please say it back in your words so that I know that you understand what I'm saying? Because I want to be sure that we're both on the same page." So active listening is really a way of seeking to understand, letting people know that you hear them through your body language, and asking questions, rephrasing, paraphrasing what people have said. Be aware of your surroundings and external noise. If you are in a noisy environment and you're speaking to someone, it may be difficult for them to hear you. It may be difficult for you to hear them. Some people are very distracted by external noises. I know I am. I have a difficult time concentrating when there's a lot of noise going on around me, and I have a difficult time even getting my words out when I hear lots of noise around me. So if you have an opportunity to bring the conversation into a quieter space, or to turn down the noise where you are, if you're speaking by phone or by Zoom, certainly if you're on a Zoom call, mute yourself while you're listening to other people to avoid having background noise if there is noise in your background. Ask questions. So if it's a complicated situation, make sure that you're solving the right problem. Make sure that you're addressing what people want you to address. So you can say things like, "Let's see, if I understand you, what you want is, or what happened is," and then see if that's right. So ask questions, find out more, get some background. Ask somebody if they're telling you something and you're confused about it. Ask them, say, "Please, I'm a bit confused. Can we just go back to the beginning? Can you tell me again, where did the problem arise? What the problem is? Is the problem this, or is the problem that?" So you're going to be asking questions. Be careful about your tone and your volume. Make sure that you're speaking appropriately so that people can hear you. There are times, again, particularly on phone calls, where sometimes I can't hear the person at all. If people who take customer service calls are very often wearing a headpiece, and sometimes it's just not close enough to their mouth. Make sure that your volume is there so that people can hear you and you can hear them. And think about your tone of voice. If you are frustrated and exasperated, maybe you've had a difficult morning, make sure that that's not translating into how you're responding to people. That's super important. I'll give you a quick story that has to do with your tone and how you respond to something. So I have a boss, like most people do, and sometimes I'm asked to do something that I don't necessarily want to do. So when I'm asked to do something, first of all, I will ask questions, but I'll ask questions without sounding like, you want me to do what? What is, how long is this going to, what? You want me to, and when is it due? So I'm not going to respond like that. Instead, I'm going to ask my questions as though I'm looking for information. Let me get this right. So you want me to do X, Y, and Z, and when is it due? Okay. And do you hear the difference in the voice? And when would you like? When do you want to have it by? Okay. Okay, very good. And let me just give you another tip as an aside here. If there's something that I'm being asked to do in a work situation, even if it's something that I really don't like doing, something I would dread doing, but I know I'm going to have to do it, there's no reason for me to make my unhappiness apparent to my boss or to my coworkers. And instead, it's easy enough for me to just say, sure thing, let me get on it. Okay? And to not share with people through my voice that I'm displeased with this assignment. Okay? I mean, if it's an ongoing issue where you're getting assignments that you don't think you should be getting, that's a whole different thing. But if somebody is asking you to do something, if your supervisor is asking you to do something that needs to be done, and you know that you're going to do it anyway, you have the choice to go happy, or you can go with misery. It's much easier, better to go happy, and you'd be surprised how people perceive you as the better worker, because you are you're not acting as though you feel that the work is oppressive. Send the appropriate nonverbal cues. So that includes things like looking at someone, as I told you about that band instructor. So you're making eye contact. As people are saying something, you can nod your head gently as to signal that you're understanding, you're taking the information in. You can make sure that you're being attentive, that you're not looking distracted, that you're not writing on something. Heaven forbid, hopefully you're not taking out your phone and texting or doing anything else on your phone. You're giving it your full attention. And then, most important, stay professional and calm, even in the face of people who are not being professional or calm. Don't sink to the level of people who are acting in anger, and keep in mind that some people act in anger because they're frustrated. They have a good reason to be angry. They've been trying to get something done. They've been trying to get an answer. They're running into systems maybe at your place of work where the systems are just working against the customer, and those kinds of things exist. I know that I know that even at places like CCP, sometimes it can be difficult to figure out how to get things done. And I know that sometimes students can be quite frustrated by those things. Addressing the student by just getting, if they're upset, getting upset is not going to help anything. Your purpose is to identify what the issue is, figure out what is needed, figure out what your role is in it, and then guide the conversation to a good resolution while staying professional and calm. Aside from that, I'll give you one example of behavior that I find very, very annoying when I'm dealing with customer service. So many times customer service for me is handled by phone call. And so I will call and I'll speak to the person who answers the phone, who takes customer service calls. And I'll be talking and saying what the issue is, and they will start talking over me. They'll be interrupting, and they'll keep interrupting. And sometimes I feel like I can't get a word in edgewise. And so sometimes what I end up having to say is, listen, you keep interrupting me, so I'll tell you what, I'll let you go first, and I will listen to you. And then I hope that you will extend to me the same courtesy. So that's my way of at least getting someone to actually listen. Typically after that, they then say, oh, I'm sorry, please go ahead and tell me what your issue is. All right, take care, and I hope that you enjoy this important unit. Bye.